Okay, today what I want to address is the tachometer. As with lots of older GM cars, the tachometers become very inaccurate over time, and this one, even with key on, engine off, it shows right there we're showing 500 RPMs, and it slowly increases just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And then if I start it, it just pegs out all the way to the maximum. Beyond the maximum, actually. So the issue with that is a bad resistor on the circuit board inside the tachometer. And I'm going to go through that and repair that resistor and see if it works. Okay, so to get the gauges out of these Fieros, you have to pull the whole cluster as an assembly, and that honestly isn't that much fun. I had to take this side of switches out because someone put in a custom toggle switch. I'm thinking for manual cooling fan operation, but I don't use it. It's just there now. But either way, obviously they didn't have a connector that I could just unplug, so I had to pull it out and disassemble the switch. Everything else you can unplug. There's a few screws on the top. There's some screws at the bottom. There's some screws in the back. It doesn't take that long, but it is unfortunately more effort than you would expect just to get the gauges out. Okay, so after disassembling the cluster, I got the tachometer out, and we can even see right there, you can see that kind of scorch mark on that resistor pack. That's the problem. That's your reference resistance. So I got to take this apart and replace that with a separate resistor. So here's the tachometer board removed from the actual gauge, and we can see up close the kind of scorch marks on the resistor there. So what I did, if I can get it to zoom in on it, I cut off the legs on either side of that particular resistor, and on the back side soldered in on the corresponding terminals a new resistor that totals 280,000 ohms, which is the appropriate resistance for this particular model, with it being a V6. While I had it apart, I decided to change all of the light bulbs in the side of it with little LEDs that'll fit in the same spot as these 194 bulbs. And then also, while I had it apart, I decided to take a chance at this. This ribbon is gone. It's delaminated. I didn't have a good answer as how to repair that. And that is for the brake warning light, which has not worked yet since I've had this car. So I got some tape and defroster grid repair juice, whatever you want to call it. Put that in there to make a connection, taped it up, and this shouldn't be contacting anything. I know I'm going to probably tape the rest of it up too, but I mean, that might work, it might not, but it already didn't work, so I'm not in a worse position if it doesn't. Okay, it's just sitting in here now. I don't have everything put back together yet. I want to do a quick test before I reassemble everything, because it is kind of a pain in the dick to get this apart. Key on, we're sitting at 0. That is lovely. It was not doing that before. Fire it up. Kind of in that 13 to 1400 RPM range for a high cold idle. I'm going to say that is appropriate. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then I'm going to have to check out all the rest of the functions. Obviously the fuel gauge still doesn't work. I haven't got into that. I don't think that's a gauge problem. I think that's a sensor problem. Okay, so I've gone for a test drive. I put the carrier back in, but it is not completely back together yet, so that I can tweak, because one thing I forgot to mention, when you're doing an LED replacement instead of light bulbs, LEDs only work one way. Light bulbs, of course, they don't care which way. As long as there's power and ground, it'll work. The power and ground on an LED, the D stands for diode, is important. So I had to go and make sure that all the bulbs worked that I replaced. There's my brights, there's my turn signals, the door jar works, I got the check engine light, of course that's important. That brake light that's down there in the corner still doesn't work, hasn't worked yet, so, and I know why, because that one circuit was not in good shape. So realistically it needs a new printed circuit board. I'm not going to sweat it that much. And then my rhythm gauge works. Finally, the first time it has worked properly. Check engine light is still on. That's a problem for another day. Eventually this is going to get an engine swap anyway, so I'm not too terribly worried about that at the moment. I'm just stoked that that works now, so good day for me. Okay, and now she's all back together. But another thing I can say for sure is if you have an old 80s car like this, most likely it's been taken apart a time or two in its day. Not just that, but also these old plastic parts are very brittle. Use the least amount of torque on these screws that you can get away with, or else you will break stuff. I think I got away today without actually cracking anything more or breaking anything off, and everything is nice and tight and secure. But yeah, boy, these old things, they like to crack and break.